Everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a smaller 6-game slate for baseball today. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really does help the channel a lot. Really do appreciate it. With that said, I am only going to be covering DraftKings today, so do keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and get into this one. Before I get started, though, can you guys drop a comment below with your home run call for today? Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I don't have any core plays on this one. This slate is really rough. There's not a lot of great value. There's not a lot of great options across the board, really. So I'm just going to go through each position and kind of give you my thoughts here. Um, we'll start with the pitchers, and we're going to start with Zach Gallen. Now, Zach Gallen is facing San Francisco, and the bats for them have good metrics, but he's been pretty lights out in 5 of the last 6 games. He's had 45. He has 40 fantasy point upside, and so that is a very good opportunity for him to have a really solid game here. He's had a pretty good season to start. He started off rough, but he's been really good the last set of games. I like his upside. He hasn't been giving up many earned runs either, which is nice. So he's got good potential here. Then we'll look at Dylan Case for Chicago White Sox. Now, he is facing Houston, which isn't an ideal option, but he is one of the only other pitchers other than Gallen who has at least a 7 strikeout potential. He is projected to get over 7 strikeouts today, and with that, that gives him some upside in this particular matchup. He's still hard to roster due to the matchup, but he is priced pretty fairly, $8,800, and so that definitely puts him in play. Anthony Scafani for San Francisco. Sorry for butchering your name. In 5 of the last 7 starts, he has got quality starts. This is one of the better matchups on the slate, and so he does check in as a good P2 option at this price. However, he doesn't feel great because of the. It's just generally a rough pitching slate. And not only that, Arizona is really good against their left-handed batters are going to take an advantage here. Because he does not do very well against lefties, and they have a bunch of those guys will likely be in their lineup. With that said, he's going to have some upside here as a cheap option, as a P2 option, especially considering there's not a ton of value. He is in play. And then finally, Tyler Wells for Baltimore. He is facing Pittsburgh, who can be good, and so that is a concern. But he's pitched pretty solidly to start the season. He doesn't have the big strikeout rate. Does feel a little bit risky. He's cheap though, and he has some upside, so it's definitely worth a look here. Moving into the catchers, we're going to start with Adley Rutschman. Now, Adley has some really good potential here as a nice upside pick. He's hit the ball pretty well the last 3 games, including a home run in those, and he has some nice upside in this matchup against Pittsburgh. I like the potential for him here. Also, Will Smith for the Dodgers is in play. He's been hitting the ball extremely well, has nice home run potential, and is just a very good hitter. His price is very expensive, but he's a good contrarian option off of Rutschman. Moving it to first base, we'll look at Freddie Freeman, who obviously for the Dodgers has really good potential. He's had home runs in the last 2 games. I look for that to continue here. Vinny Pasquantino is also in play for Kansas City. He's got a really good matchup here. He's hitting the ball extremely well lately. He's got nice upside. He's had some really good fantasy point games. I like his potential here in this one, and he's the best player on Kansas City right now. Then we'll look at C.J. Cron for Colorado, who's facing Philly in Colorado, and obviously a lot of Philly players are better at home than on the road. He's one of the weird ones that actually has a worse fantasy point per game at home than the road. But that said, he has the potential here. Home runs are definitely in play in Colorado, so he's definitely somebody to consider. And then for a cheaper option here, Rowdy Tellez from Milwaukee is also in play. He's got home run or bust potential here. He hasn't been hitting the ball quite as good as he started the season, but he definitely has that home run potential in this particular situation, especially. Then we'll look at second base. Now, Kim is available for San Diego here. Now, I want to stress that nobody at second base really has good metrics today, and so these guys, they all have really subpar metrics for these matchups, but these are the best 3 that I could find. Kim is a good option on the slate. Then we'll look at Josh Rojas for Arizona also in an interesting spot. He has not had a home run yet this season, which is pretty wild, but he definitely has some potential here in this matchup. But I do think he's pretty expensive and somewhat hard to roster as a result of that. Keto Marte is also in a tough position, kind of expensive, but has the best situation despite a tough matchup against a pitcher. However, they will have an advantage for certain batters, when you're facing uh, Descalfani as a lefty. So then we'll look at third base, and Manny Machado is in play today for San Diego. He's one of the few guys on San Diego I think has some really good upside. He has some nice metrics for this situation. He's finally been hitting the ball better. Well, he started the season a little bit rough, but he's got some good upside in this matchup. J.D. Davis is also in play for San Francisco. This is a very tough matchup against Gallen, but San Francisco do have some guys that are hitting the ball extremely well lately, and he's definitely one of them. And I don't necessarily think any pitcher is going to get out scot free today, and so he'd be somebody I would consider at this position, especially as a cheaper option. And then Bregman for Houston. In a toughish matchup against Case, he does have some nice upside here. Despite the fact that he hasn't hit the ball well, he has home run potential in this particular matchup. Then we'll look at the shortstops, and we'll start with Trey Turner, who has some really interesting upside in this matchup for Philly. He's one of the best options on the team, home run potential as well, and this is a nice situation for him. Obviously, he's pretty expensive, but Willie Adames for Milwaukee looks like a great option as a good contrarian off of Turner due to his price being a lot cheaper. His price has really come down some, which is nice. He'd been over 5,000 for most of the season already, and so having him at $4,300 in a nice matchup is definitely appreciated, especially on a relatively difficult slate like this one. Then we'll look at Bryce Harper, who has some really good potential here. He's hit the ball extremely well since he's been back this season. I like his upside here. He has home run potential. He didn't even hit a home run yesterday. He scored 19 fantasy points. He has a stolen base potential, so that gives an added little bonus as well. Kyle Schwarber is also in play for Philly. He is a boomer bust play for an expensive guy. He did hit a home run yesterday, so do keep that in mind, but he's got really good boomer bust potential every time out. His batting average is really bad. But, on smaller slates, sometimes you gotta take some chances. Chris Bryant is in play here. He's one of the guys in Colorado that really does have has much better metrics and averages at home, and he's got a really good matchup here. He's got home run potential. I like his upside in this one. Corbin Carroll for Arizona is in play here for Arizona. Now, again, I do like, the pitcher for San Francisco, but I also like a lot of the bats here, especially the guys that can hit lefty, and he's got some really good potential in this one. Outman for the Dodgers is also in play here. He has some nice upside as a cheaper option. He's not hit the ball quite as well the last few games, but as you can see, he's had some hits in those, and he has some really good potential, plus stolen base potential, plus home run potential. He can do just about anything, so I like his upside. Jack Sawinski for Pittsburgh is also in play. Despite a tough-ish matchup, he's hit the ball pretty well this season. He hasn't been quite as good as he started, but he definitely has home run potential, and so I like his upside. Jesse Winker for Milwaukee has not hit a home run yet this season, which is just pretty crazy. He did take a couple games off, though, and if he does draw the start today, then we'll see if he might be somebody that's worth taking a look at. So maybe just having a few games off will have helped him get back on track. Then we'll look at Randall Griachuk for Colorado, another guy for Colorado that has a much better batting average at home than on the road. Despite not playing a ton of games, if he draws a start, he'll definitely be in play, especially at this price. And so then we'll look at two Hail Mary plays at this position, and Dominic Fletcher for Arizona, who started the season extremely well in his first few batting attempts. He's had some really good upside. He's also hit a home run yesterday, which definitely adds to his potential. And then Doyle for Colorado, if he draws a start, he'll definitely be a kind of a Hail Mary play, as he's had some pretty decent games so far. Obviously, just like most guys, he should be better at home. Granted, he hasn't actually been but he does have some potential in this particular situation as a Hail Mary play. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.